Hello everyone and welcome to the game I warned you about. This is Stockfish 16 versus Kovisto 9. It was played in the Computer Chess Rating List Championship and it also comes as a suggestion from Jozarov. He posted this game on YouTube some 8 months ago and he sent it to me yesterday, I believe, or maybe the day before yesterday, saying that if I'm interested in showing more engine games, that this is definitely the one I should show. And I have to warn you guys, as I'm warning you in the title, and I'm warning you now, it's very dangerous for you to see this game, because it will be incredibly difficult to get back to human chess once you witness what I'm about to show you. So of course I'm not going to compare it to let's say Anderson's Evergreen Game against Dufresne or Paul Morphy's Opera House game, because, well, it's apples and oranges. They were playing against a much lesser opposition, even though those games are one of the greatest games they were ever played, and probably the reason why millions of people even got into chess. Yeah, this is like, I would say this is like an evergreen game, only if Anderson's opponent was rated like our good friend Kovisto here, 3400. So yeah, imagine that. And once you see this game, there's no going back. It will be very hard to watch human chess. Sky will be clearer. The air will also be easier to breathe. The beer will taste better. So your entire life will be turned upside down. So if you're ready for that, let's check out this game. So it's Stockfish 16 rated 3500 against Kovisto rated 3400. Let's check out the game. We have pawn to e4. Pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. Kovisto goes for bishop to c5, and now pawn to b4. The Evans gambit is on the board, yeah, let's see what happens now. Bishop captures on b4. It is, of course, strongest to accept the gambit, and like I said, Jozarov also posted this game some 8 months ago. Also check out his video, first link in the description below. I have not watched it, as I don't want to repeat lines from his video, but he also made a very thorough one. I can see from how long it lasts, so do check it out, definitely. We have c3. Okay, nothing new. If you're an Evans Gambit player, you've reached this position many times. Bishop to a5, and now pawn to d4, striking in the center. Nothing new here. E captures, and queen to b3. I've had this position like 100 times in the past week alone. So queen to e7, queen to f6 is another popular idea. Queen to e7, I believe, still considered to be the strongest move. Castles, and now bishop back to b6. This is black's main defensive resource in most lines of the Evans Gambit, as it frees up the a5 square for the knight. Knight to a5 will attack the queen and the bishop, and of course, once black eliminates the light square bishop, white's attack is not as nearly as powerful. But this also wastes the tempo for black, so white takes this moment to play c captures on d4. And now, while it is possible to go knight to a5 right away, and it has been played in some human games, it's not as great. And now we're just gonna deviate a little bit here to discuss why it's not as great. Okay, you can take the bishop, no problem there. Let's say captures, and now what do you do? Of course, you want to stop e5, because how will you develop the knight? You will play d6. A4 already happens. The threat is a5. Okay, you will free up the diagonal for the bishop. c7 and d8 are now available. a5 lets the bishop to c7, and now d5, not giving black a moment's rest. The threat is d captures on c6, and once black defends that, you will play bishop to b2. Again, the threat is bishop captures on g7, and you cannot play knight to f6, black would just capture and ruin your pawn structure, so you're going to play knight to e7, and now queen to c3, stopping castles, otherwise you get checkmated. So pawn to f6 will have to be played, but now knight to d4 is very, very annoying. Again, putting more pressure on c6, but also knight to e6 becomes a possibility, and now after, let's say, c captures on d5, you can even throw in a nice rook c1 to go after the bishop here, and once the bishop moves out of the way, now you play e captures on d5. And the problem is, if you play knight captures on d5, you are already lost here. Let's say rook to e1 check, and not all that much to do here, like knight to e7, queen to b3, and okay, you stop castles, not much to be done here. If d5, I mean, what else will you play? All of a sudden, knight to c3 happens, and if castles now, here comes bishop to a3, and there's no move that black can make. Like, look at this. All of the pieces are crammed in the back rank, and if something like rook to e8, you will even play a nice bishop captures on e7, and after bishop captures, knight captures on d5, and again, lack of development, you will suffer greatly here. Also, some nasty discoveries are coming, and if king h8, knight to b5, now coming for knight to c7. And lastly, if bishop to d8, you just go knight b to c7. And after rook captures on e1, rook captures on e1, threatening rook to e8 check to win the black queen, so you're going to have to take the knight, but still knight captures on c7, and now you either win the black queen or the black queen captures, and you deliver checkmate here. So that's the problem. After he captures on d5, you will not be able to capture the pawn. You will have to castle, and once you castle, then comes queen to b3 or some other nice moves. You will defend the d5 pawn, and white has an amazing position. Black is really cramped here. So yeah, a lot to consider, but that's why knight to a5 is not recommended here. Very relevant for this game as, okay, this is a 3400 engine playing, so we want to explain why knight captures on d4 was played instead of knight to a5, which is kind of your go-to move against the Evans Gambit. So okay, knight captures on d4, bishop captures on d4, and now knight to c3. And okay, you might be thinking, what's the big deal here? White is down 2 pawns. Where is the sort of compensation? Okay, knight to d5 is coming. Of course, you have to stop that. Knight to f6, and now comes bishop to a3, attacking the black queen. Pawn to d6, and now comes Anderson's move, rook a to d1, attacking the bishop. And here you will see the first problems that black faces in this line, or in many of the other lines. If you just move the bishop, then e5, and black resigns. It's as simple as that. Point is, regardless of where you move the knight, of course, you cannot capture. The queen would hang. If the queen captures, rook just wins the queen, so you're going to have to move the knight. It doesn't really matter where. And then he captures on d6. Again, rook e1. I mean, there's nothing to play here. C captures. Even bishop captures on d6. Black just gets destroyed here. So after this rook a to d1 move, we have bishop captures on c3 and queen captures on c3. And now, okay, again, you could castle right away, but here queen to e5 is played, and now what do you play? The position has been reached, and more than once. For example, queen captures on e5 was played. Ekaterina Kovalevskaya played it against Antoaneta Stefanova in the Women's World Cup in 2002, and the game ended in a draw. So capturing not the best option. Also, there is one game where queen to b3 was played. Karina Shchepkovska played it against the Dinara Sadokasova in the Moscow Open of 2013, and black was able to win that game. So again, not the best idea. But here Stockfish plays queen to c1. And now comes the big question. Okay, Kovisto castles, and where is the compensation? Stockfish is down 2 pawns. What does Stockfish has as compensation? The bishop pair, and the bishop pair must become fully operational as soon as possible. So bishop to b2. Okay, attacks the queen. We have queen to e7. You could also capture the pawn, but capturing the pawn then just bishop captures, and well, obviously, we could say a lot about this, but a 3400 rated engine says that, yeah, we're not going to play this. So queen back to e7, and now pawn to e5. Again, Stockfish not giving Kovisto a moment's rest, saying that if you capture, then bishop to a3. Attacks the queen, and once you move, you don't even have to capture the rook right away. You can continue development, and then you're going to capture at your earliest convenience. And while you could argue that, okay, black has a couple of pawns for the extra exchange, but once that rook leaves the board and white has full development, this pawn will soon follow. The queenside pawns become weak, and this will be much better for Stockfish. So knight to e8, defending on d6, and now comes rook f to e1. As Morphy said, help your pieces so they can help you. Stockfish is helping its pieces, so the pieces can help Stockfish. We have bishop to e6, offering a trade of bishops, and of course, you do not trade here. You have the bishop pair. Like we said, that's your only advantage here, and your lead in development. E captures on d6. First, with a tempo on the queen, knight captures on d6, and now bishop to b3, just sidestepping the knight, and also bishop captures for the moment is impossible, as the queen on e7 would hang. And okay, let's in the game queen to d8 was played, just unpinning from the rook on the e file, and bishop captures on b3 is the idea. But why wouldn't we play something like queen to h4? Let's bring the queen into the game. Well, here the problem is you could go rook d3. And okay, you could definitely trade bishop for bishop, which is kind of what you want to do. All of a sudden, rook to h3 happens. Now, where do you put the queen? You can't really go to g5. The queen covers that. If you go to g4, just rook g3, and you can resign here. So you have to bring the queen all the way back. And now bishop captures on g7, and black resigns. If king captures, of course, queen captures on h6 followed by queen captures checkmate. And if you try something like rook to e8, look at this, rook to g3, threatening all sorts of nasty discoveries, and you cannot avoid a loss here. Even if you trade here on, let's say, knight to f5 to go after the rook, still bishop f6 check wins the black queen. And if knight captures, bishop captures, and rook captures, of course, you don't touch the knight and allow rook to d1. You will just take the bishop, and that's it. Once the knight moves, you will create some breathing room for your king. You have a queen versus a knight and rook, and you will win this easily. You might not win it easily, but Stockfish definitely will. So that's why after bishop to b3, Kovisto goes back queen to d8. And now, okay, of course, next move is bishop captures on b3, but Stockfish says, thou shall not trade, and plays bishop to a4. Very, very impressive move by Stockfish. Of course, you could also, let's say you try to rush it, rook d3, rook g3. It doesn't really work because after bishop captures, even if you throw in a queen c3 to threaten checkmate, f6 here amazingly holds quite well. After queen captures with check, king h8, you don't really have all that much here. So it is imperative here to guard your bishop pair with everything. If you play this line, you want to keep the bishop pair at all costs. So bishop to a4 keeps the bishop alive, and now bishop to f5. We have rook to e5, a nice rook lift going after the bishop here, and bishop to g6. So now Kovisto says, all right, you had some checkmating ideas here, but with my bishop on g6, you're not checkmating anyone. And okay, bishop back to b3. Stockfish says, all right, I'm assuming back this diagonal. King to h8. Nicely unpinning the f-pawn, and now rook to c5. So Kovisto is so much behind in development that Stockfish says, all right, I might not be checkmating you, but I'm going to start winning material back. So okay, rook to c8, developing while defending, and now pawn to h4. Beautifully played. Now, specifically made possible due to the rook to c8 move, because if queen captures on h4, now you can just capture the knight on d6, and of course the rook on c8 would hang, and black just gets checkmated. So you cannot capture the pawn. So b6 is played, challenging the rook, but rook to c3. Rook remains on the c file to threaten the c7 pawn, or rather, if the queen moves, the play rook captures on d6. So pawn to a6, and now comes pawn to h5. Again, Stockfish playing in the greatest style possible, in the style of the old masters, if you will. And you can't really move the bishop. If you move the bishop, then h6, and you just get destroyed here. So bishop captures on h5, and only now rook to h3, offering the rook on d1. But can the rook on d1 be captured? Well, not really. If you capture the rook on d1, of course, you see the move without even me playing it, queen to h6, and you resign. There's no defense against queen captures on g7 checkmate, and queen captures on h7 checkmate. So that's the idea. So here, bishop back to g6. Kovisto says, all right, I still have my bishop on g6. There's no way you're checkmating me here. Stockfish says, think again. Queen to h6 still works. And while it's not an immediate checkmate, rook to g6, rook to g8 defends g7, and also h7 is defended, it does allow for a brilliant maneuver that allows a spectacular checkmating attack. Now, the thumbnail I used might give you a heads up, but only if you were paying attention before clicking on the video. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the only move that wins for Stockfish here while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this sick maneuver. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to d5. That is the move. And you might be thinking, okay, why is this so strong? Well, how are you stopping rook to h5? That's the idea. Kovisto actually finds a neat defense, queen to e7. And now rook d to h5 is prevented, because if you play rook d to h5, now the idea is queen to e1 check, and after king to h2, you have queen to b1, adding more defenders to the h7 pawn, and now black is actually just winning here. So Stockfish improves, rook e5. First forces the queen away from the e-file, and now queen to f6. And you might be thinking, but why not just g captures? Well, can't we just trade queens? Well, not really. Even if you capture, then rook captures on e7 comes with a discovery, and once you play rook to g7, or you play f6, and then you just get checkmated, so rook g7 is your only move, you're just dead lost here. I mean, rook d7, Stockfish will win the exchange, and that's just it. Let's say king g8, you're going to capture here, and now just rook c3, threatens rook captures on d6 to win the rook, and if let's say knight to e8, you'll play rook to c6, and black is really without a move here. I mean, it's just much better for white. So that's why after rook e5, queen to f6, of course the white queen cannot be captured, and now the only move that wins for white, you could pause the video, but I'm just gonna show it to you. Like, if you really want to, you can do it. I can't stop you. Queen back to c1. That's the way to do it. You defend the bishop, so now the rook can again move, and not a lot of good moves. And to just give you an example, let's say you bring the queen back, queen to d8, and it is such a sad square for the black queen. The winning idea is bishop to c2. So elegant, so simply it's so elegant. And there's nothing to be done here. If bishop captures, or you don't have to play that, but nothing really helps you. If you allow the trade, then just rook captures and you get destroyed, or even just a nice queen to h6. But if bishop captures, then comes rook e to h5, and if the bishop goes back, now comes rook captures on h7, bishop captures, and again queen to h6 with an unstoppable checkmate on h7. So after queen to c1, bishop to f5. Again, you can expect a 3400 engine to find all the defensive resources. It's just that they are all insufficient, and Stockfish again with a spectacular move, rook to h6. And now, again, okay, we have to ask the question, what about queen captures on h6? Can't we just play this? What? Okay, now it's just time to stop calculating and you know, just be amazed. Queen captures on h6 is met with queen captures, and after g captures, just a nice rook e8 check, and that's it. Once f6 is played, bishop captures on f6 is checkmate. So that's the idea. So after rook to h6, queen back to d8 is played. I mean, it's so amazing that you can force a 3400 rated engine to just move the queen back and forth like this. But yeah, everything is possible if you play the Evans Gambit. So queen to f4 here, going after the bishop, while also setting up a nice queen to h2, also to add more attackers to the h7 pawn. Everything is just hanging here. And also, if g6 defending the bishop, yeah, just queen h2, there's no defense here. If rook g7, you just play rook captures, and after rook captures, rook e8, a double checkmate. Beautiful stuff here. So that's why after queen f4, bishop to b1. Again, Kovisto just finds all the necessary defensive ideas, and now comes the move from the thumbnail, rook e to h5. And look at this, the true potential of the Evans Gambit has been unleashed. This is if an engine could feel shame, this is the moment where it would feel shame. I mean, look at this. What do you even play here? This position is so good for white. You feel like even if you like close your eyes and just, you know, move the piece, you would crush your opponent. Of course, that is not the case when a 3400 engine is defending, and of course it will keep defending. But the idea is that, okay, now if you play something like a5, you will just capture, and the move that we discussed, queen to h6, there is no defense against that. So after rook e to h5, queen to e8 was played. Again, another tricky maneuver. Point being now that if you play rook captures on h7 and bishop captures and queen to h6, there's this annoying queen e4, and now black is winning all of a sudden. Yeah, you have to be careful. So that's why Stockfish plays queen to g5. And the reason I find queen to g5 so amazing is that my version of Stockfish, that is not nearly as strong as this one, even when I allow it to go to depth 50, does not play queen to g5 here. It says, okay, you should play something like queen to h4 or bishop to d5 or queen to g4, but not queen to g5 that this version of Stockfish plays, which, okay, there could be plenty of reasons for this, because they're also playing blitz games, but yeah, I mean, also bear in mind this is a blitz game. Imagine if they were playing classical. Pawn to f6 here, and the reason why pawn to f6 here is played, if you try queen to e4 now, the move that we've discussed that is so amazing here, it is countered by f3. f3, not just to remove the black queen, but also to give the e4 square to the bishop here. That's the trick here. And if you play queen f5 here, just queen to h4. And if queen back to d3 to sort of keep an eye on this h7 pawn, bishop to d5. And now there is no defense to bishop to e4. Once bishop to e4 lands, you will either give up the queen, or you will take the bishop and then block the queen, and then rook captures on h7 will just be checkmate. So that's why after queen g5, f6 was played, and now it's finally time to start capturing stuff. Rook captures on f6. Of course, the rook cannot be captured. If you capture anything, bishop captures or queen captures, rook g7, bishop captures will be a nice checkmate. Our good friend the bishop covering the g8 square. So here, queen to e1 with check. We have king to h2, and now queen to e2. Again, final defensive maneuver, but it is not enough. Rook back to h6, just crushing it. We have rook c to e8, again trying to trick you, because if rook captures on h7 now, then you sort of have bishop captures, and once queen to g6 is once queen to g6 is played, you have this queen captures on h5 move. And if queen captures, okay, rook to e7 still holds. White is still winning, but it's not as crushing. But Stockfish is merciless, not allowing anything. Here we have pawn to f3, preparing the bishop d5, bishop to e4 maneuver. And that's just it. Queen to d3 was played. Here comes bishop to d5. And here, I believe this is circuit overload for Kovisto. Nothing works here. The Indian played rook to e6 here. Sort of an idea, if you play bishop to e4, something like rook captures on h6 can be played, but it was not. Just bishop captures on e6, and here knight to e8 was played, and it was in this position on move 42 that Kovisto 9 resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Now finally the barrage of captures on h7 occurs. Rook captures on h7, queen captures, and now bishop to f5, threatening just rook captures checkmate. And once bishop captures happens, queen captures on f5, and that's it. If knight f6, you will just play bishop captures on f6. That's pretty much it. No move can be made here. G captures, rook captures on h7 will be checkmate, or any of the other lines, but I'm sure you get the idea. Next time someone tells you the Evans Gambit is bad, or the Evans Gambit cannot be played at the very top level, it can be played on the very top level. Even against the 3400 engine, it can definitely be played, only if you're up to the challenge, and if you dare to play it. So I think it's still not that year. Maybe in 2025 or 2026, we will see the re-emergence of the Evans Gambit at the absolute top level. But the chosen one still hasn't appeared, the one that will use it to fight on the absolute top level. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, let's not compare it to Anderson's game or to any of the legendary games of the old, to Morphy's Opera House game, or to Rubinstein's Immortal, because their opponents were just not as strong as Kovisto here. But here, this is the Evergreen game. If if Anderson's opponent was rated 3400. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will not be showing any more engine games for quite some times, because I would really hate to create addicts on this channel. It's very easy to get addicted to engine chess because it's just perfect. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this, and now let's return to some human on human action, where even some mistakes are made from time to time. But yeah, do check out first link in the description below. It is Jozarov's analysis of this game, so do check that out as well. And big thanks to Jozarov for sending me this one. I haven't seen it yet, and I mean, what a game! What a game! If you like the Evans Gambit, do play it, and also do check out the second link in the description below. Will be my tutorial on how to play the Evans Gambit. Already over 1 million people have seen it, so I'm hoping people are playing the Evans Gambit. And you guys probably said that I should make more tutorials on how to play the Evans Gambit, but yeah, it will coming. Evans Gambit Part 2 coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. But for now, enjoy Jozarov's analysis of this game while you're looking for stuff to do. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Andrei Schrade, Marshall Byrne, Rudiger Osterman, Bjorn Bartel, and Michael Hildebrand for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day, and give the Evans Gambit a chance. You might create a masterpiece like this anytime now. See you soon.